An open-world MMORPG, constantly online, where you can create your own character, choose your starter village, and learn new jutsu as you build your dream ninja, completing missions, fighting other players, as you pave your way to becoming the world's strongest. It's an idea that I see pitched by Naruto fans every time there's a new game announcement or every time there's talks of a new Naruto game in the future. And it's a great idea, one that many fans have fallen in love with, myself included. So much so that, over 10 years ago, I wrote it all down here. From game mechanics to monetization models, I was so in love with this idea that over the years, I just kept on writing and writing, putting together some sort of developer document. So hey, sit back, relax. Here's the Naruto game that everyone wants, from a guy who's been thinking about this stuff for over 10 years. Brought to you by otakucharms.com, because you can't create your own ninja and choose your starting village without your corresponding ninja headband. Represent your favorite village by picking one of these up at otakucharms.com. They've got a wide selection of Naruto figures, accessories, and streetwear, and shipping is completely free worldwide. So if you want one of those headbands, you don't need to pay for shipping. In fact, you don't even need to pay for the 13 bucks, because with promo code Globku, you get 10% off anything you purchase. Check out otakucharms.com. Their Naruto collection is absolutely amazing, and thank you for sponsoring another video. It all starts with character creation. And the ninja you build, the ninja you create, is but a child. A young ninja ready to enter the academy. And the academy acts as a tutorial of sorts, but it's also where you start your own character progression. In the academy, you'll have classes that explain mechanics, and missions where you'll actually try out those mechanics for yourself. Almost like practical lessons. For instance, you'll learn that there are 2 attack buttons, one for a light attack and one for a strong attack, and you'll learn a basic combo. And you can actually perform this in training, but in class you learn that taijutsu masters can also do a lot more with these 2 buttons. They can even customize their own combos with different combinations of the light and strong attack buttons by holding down the light button or holding down the strong button at different points in the combo, or delaying the light or the strong button, similar to how Platinum Games usually does a lot of combos with simple buttons. So in practice, you have a simple combo, but in the academy, you actually learn the potential for a lot more. Similar thing with weapons. You'll learn how weapons change your melee combat, because they will change your attack buttons. Bigger weapons being usually slower and having bigger recovery, but better range and more damage, and smaller weapons being faster, but suffering in the range department. And you get to try that out at the academy. You get to try out melee combat with and without weapons, but obviously your choices in the academy are limited. You only have access to some basic weapons, like the kunai for instance, or maybe a sword, depends on the village where you started. But you also learn that once you get out into the world, your options will multiply. You'll be able to wield bigger swords, staves, I don't know the word. Maybe even a legendary weapon which has its own systems attached. You know what, I might be going into too much detail this early in the video, but this is the type of game I imagine, so I think it's important for you to learn this now, because you'll also learn this stuff at the academy. Legendary weapons, for instance, let's say the Samehada. In each world, there should only be one of these swords. You will never see 2 ninja wielding the same legendary weapon. Now, servers can be split into different regions. Let's say there's a North American server, there's a European server, etc., and then you can split it again depending on how big your player base is, between servers where PvP is enabled and where PvP is disabled, where you just want to roleplay or something. But each one of these servers will only have one Samehada. And to get it, you must defeat the player who owns it, or just find it out in the wild, depending on where it is in the world. Now, there's a risk of a player getting one of these weapons and just logging out and never logging back online. So legendary weapons will come with a timer, let's say 72 hours. Every time you log out, the 72-hour timer starts counting down. If it reaches 0, you lose the legendary weapon, it is released back into the world. But if you log in, the timer, instead of going down, it starts going up. So let's say you had 24 hours left on that timer, it starts counting up from 24 hours, all the way up to 72. 72 is max. Otherwise, you could just log in and not really play the game, just to reset the timer. So yeah, I don't think legendary weapons should belong to players who don't really play the game. So in a way, legendary weapons should also be seen as temporary power-ups, because eventually you won't be able to log in for 3 days straight and you'll lose that legendary weapon, but that's okay. That's part of your ninja story. You were someone who once held a legendary weapon in your hands, and you did X, Y, and Z feats with it before you lost it. But back to the academy, let's talk ninjutsu. In the academy, you might also learn a couple of basic jutsu, like the substitution jutsu, which is different depending on the village that you choose at the start. However, this jutsu works different from most Naruto games. Usually that's just a panic button, a get out of a combo type of system. No. In this game, all jutsu are performed by inputting button combinations. So let's take this PS4 controller, alright? Let's say L1 is the jutsu button. So you press L1 and your character starts gathering chakra. And then the face buttons correspond to different seals. So for the substitution jutsu, let's say you hold L1 and you do square, circle, square. Bam! Substitution jutsu activated. If you get hit by an attack, you'll vanish, and in your place the log will show up, or a water clone, or whatever your village does for substitution. And if you don't get hit, then you spent your chakra for nothing. And this is pretty much how every jutsu would work, and this is part of what makes this game a skill-based game, and not as much of a level-up RPG where if you're out-leveled, you don't stand a chance in battle against anyone. No, everyone has the same stats to start off, and then they just kind of build their own jutsu loadout that they think will work better against other players. And you can unlock thousands of jutsu, and you'd think that's overpowered, but no, actually, if you don't know the button combinations to do them in battle, you'll just never use them. Plus, since you're holding the shoulder button to prepare your jutsu, this is perfect because it means you can still walk around, you move while you're doing the seals. And simple jutsu will require less button inputs, while more powerful and more dangerous jutsu will require more button inputs, which means their startup time will be longer, which means you've got to memorize a bigger thing, but hey, that's player skill. And we can even add a modifier to certain buttons. For instance, holding down the R1 button would make it so that your chakra nature comes into play. So the Shidori, for instance, in the show, it's only 3 hand seals, right? So let's say those seals are 3 buttons. You hold L1 to start your jutsu, and you would do square, triangle, X, right? But because it has chakra nature, you have to do square, R1 triangle, R1 X. This basically means you have 4 face buttons plus 4 with modifier, and you can have so many different combinations here, and it's enough, honestly. With time, you'll get used to it. With time, you will learn what your favorite jutsu are, and you'll just do them by muscle memory, honestly. That's pretty much how combos work in every fighting game as well. Now, you can't just create a ninja and start doing all these jutsu. You have to learn them first. And there are a couple of ways of learning jutsu. Number 1. You can learn them from mentors. These are NPCs who act as your teachers, and each mentor will be able to pass down specific jutsu. They might even have a small mission that teaches you how to use said jutsu. Method number 2, you can learn them from scrolls. Some jutsu can't be taught by mentors, but they can be found in scrolls spread throughout the world. You may hear rumors of said scrolls by talking to people in the village or out in the world, and it's up to you to find them. You won't get a quest mark or anything on your map, you gotta follow the clues to find them. Obviously, a week after the game comes out, there will be a wiki with all the scroll locations, and if you want to use the wiki to find those scrolls, that's fine, that's how you want to play the game. But if you don't, if you just want to follow the clues, it will be that much more immersive and rewarding once you actually find the thing. Plus, this will be sort of a live game, constant updates and stuff like that, so maybe the wiki will get outdated very easily. Finally, the third method for learning jutsu, you can learn it from other players. There will obviously be a progression system in this game that takes you from Genin to Shunin to Jonin, and if you meet a ninja of a higher class, then you can totally learn jutsu from them. Think of these players as your mentors, but instead of an NPC, it's a real person. And we're still not done with the academy. I know, right? One of the big things ninjas must learn how to do properly is how to move in battle. At the time that I wrote these notes, we didn't have Shinobi Striker, but I actually thought the game did pretty good movement. The way you transition from being in the ground to walking into walls is sort of how I thought movement should work in this game. I don't think every character should have a wire kunai by default, like Shinobi Striker, that's a bit too specific, but when you leave the academy, you will know how to control your chakra to walk on walls and even walk on water. I know that's something that Naruto learned later in the show, but even watching Boruto now, everyone just learns that at the academy, so. And for traveling long distances, we're gonna need a different system, something to travel between trees or something. It should make traveling a lot faster and more pleasant, but also should be something that leaves you very vulnerable and that you wouldn't want to use in combat. Even a shuriken would knock you off a tree, so you just can't run away from a fight. Oh, speaking of, I'm thinking shuriken should definitely be something that has some enemy tracking. Aiming in a game with this much mobility, it has to be somewhat assisted. It can't just be manual aim, but all the shuriken should be automatically blocked. If you're not doing anything, or if you're just moving around, you should block all shuriken automatically. However, if you're focusing chakra with the L1 button, or if you're doing anything else, then you'll get hit and your action will get interrupted. Alright, now that you've learned all the basics at the academy, it's time to have an exam, and once you pass that exam, congratulations, you are now a ninja. ninja. This is not a short tutorial because this is not a simple game. So that's why it shouldn't be treated as a simple tutorial, but a proper school, a proper part of the game, a part of the progression. You should feel like you're learning how to be a ninja by playing this game and not feeling like, oh, I gotta get through some tutorial text just to get to the real game or whatever. No, this is part of your journey. You need to master all the aspects of being a ninja to graduate and become a proper ninja, but also the academy is something that shows you how many different types of ninja you can be once you leave the academy. So during the academy, you'll start to think how much you want to focus on taijutsu, for instance, or how many ninjutsu you want to find, or which ones, what's your goal in the game. And speaking of goal, I've broken down a lot of systems in the game. I've told you how this game plays, but what do you do? Obviously, you can just start exploring the world and trying to find ninjutsu scrolls to add to your collection and train under different mentors to have even more ninjutsu. If you just want to collect ninjutsu, that's the way you can play this game. There's already a lot of content there to explore. Building your ninja over time is already a big deal, but Naruto fans have different goals when it comes to the Naruto universe. Some want to be the Hokage, others want to go rogue and start something like the Akatsuki. So I've thought of a couple of systems that would make a lot of those dreams possible. We're not gonna have time to talk about all those systems, but I'll leave you with a few. First up, ninja ranks. After you graduate to Genin, you can start accepting D rank and C rank missions. You can do these missions solo or play them co-op in a 4-man party. Ideally, 3 of those ninja would be Genin and 1 Jonin to guide them, you know, if you want to roleplay, but the game is not going to force you to do any of that. It would be a matchmaking nightmare, plus Jonin don't want to babysit new players. Every 2 weeks or so, there would be a calendar event that you can sign up for, and that is the Chunin exam. The Chunin exam will have different phases depending on how many people sign up, and it's kind of up to our creativity to determine what these events are. We can have a simple tournament, we can have a battle royale, we can have the survival exam with the scrolls, we can have an obstacle course where the fastest player wins. There's all sorts of stuff that can happen here. We can even have multiple of these events if a lot of people sign up, so we have different stages to, you know, thin out the herd. Only the strongest, only the best should make it to the next stage. And these exams should be absolutely savage. Because if you lose, no big deal, you can try again in 2 weeks. But if you win, it will really be a badge you can show off with honor. Being a Chunin would actually mean something at that point. At the same time, being a Chunin doesn't actually make you stronger. You can be just as strong of a ninja at the Genin level, but Chunin does give you access to the B rank and A rank missions, which, you know, give you more money, have better rewards, so they can make your life easier. But you still learn the same jutsu as you would as a Genin. So as a Genin, you can be just as strong as any Chunin or Jonin in the game. Of course, from Chunin, you can also graduate to Jonin with a similar method, though these exams should be a bit more rare. Let's say instead of once every 2 weeks, we have only 1 per month, and the events could also slightly differ. And then we have the highest level, the level of Kage. Now, obviously, this will be a coveted position. Thousands of players will want it, but only 1 per village can have it. Well, 1 per village per server. So just like the legendary weapons, players need to think of the Kage as a temporary effect. It's part of your ninja story. It's an amazing feat to achieve, but you know that at some point, you'll need to pass it on to someone else. The position of Kage is a position of respect. You become a Kage when the whole village acknowledges you as one. So in a way, it's nothing more, nothing less than democracy. So every couple of months, everyone in the village can vote for the new Kage. And any Jonin can apply for this position. The village votes on their favorite, and the Kage does have some power over the village. It's an important position, and villagers shouldn't be just voting randomly. First of all, the Kage can make peace or war with other villages. And these other villages are also controlled by other Kages, so, you know, village relationships matter. Just like democracy, Kage players can also select which events happen on each exam. If you want to level up to Chunin or Jonin, the Kage can determine which events are going to be in each one of those exams. If not, they just happen automatically if you don't want to be arsed. Kage players also handpick a few Jonin players to become part of their Anbu special forces. And in this game, Anbu members would basically be bounty hunters. But to explain bounties, I have to explain yet another system, and this is a big one. Permadeath. Your character that you've spent a long time developing and learning jutsu for can die permanently. Now, I don't want to make this too discouraging. You don't lose everything. When you create another ninja, you can inherit your previous ninjutsu. So at least not all your progress has been lost. You can skip the academy since you've already done that once, so you just become a genin right away. And it's almost like your old ninja, the one that died, was reincarnated in this new one. You lose your rank, you lose your money, but everything that comes from within, your chakra nature, your knowledge about combos and ninjutsu, you can inherit some of that. We can even have have a marriage system where one player marries another player and then they just retire, and when they retire they make a new character that can inherit jutsu from both. I think generations of ninja are important for the spirit of Naruto, but we'll get to that in a minute. Death. We're talking about death now. Dying as a ninja shouldn't be easy. You can go down on missions, you have a down state, you can be revived by teammates, or you can just bleed out and wake up at a hospital. It shouldn't be a game that is too punishing like that. No. You only die if an enemy ninja wants to kill you, and they have to intentionally do it. A type of thing where they've defeated you and now they walk up to you and hold down a button to finish you off. This ninja is officially committing murder. Now, in some villages, murder could be legal or illegal. That's part of being a Kage. As a Kage, you also decide all of that. If you kill a ninja from your own village, you become a rogue ninja and you get a bounty on your head, and the Anbu start chasing you. If you kill a ninja from another village, well, then maybe your village likes that or not. So with this whole death system, we now have more goals or objectives that people can set for themselves. You can become the greatest bounty hunter in the world, or you can become the ninja with the biggest bounty in the world, one that is feared across multiple villages. Every village around the world knows the atrocities that Sasuke 69 has committed. Death is a big part of Naruto, and I really think it should be a part of the game. Some of the great moments in Naruto are linked to characters dying, and I think the game should capture that in some way. You want to preserve your character, so when you become a bounty hunter, you know that you're at risk of actually losing your character. You can choose a safer path and just try to progress to other goals, I guess. But this should be a dangerous game. A game where you actually stand to lose something. And killing another player should have consequences. As you do it, you know that you are deleting someone's character. So the murderer is gonna become hunted by multiple villages, potentially. Let's say a Leaf Village ninja gets assassinated, and the Leaf has an alliance with the Sand. Now, both villages' special forces are hunting that assassin. Plus, having a ninja actually die in battle makes room for different generations of ninja to arise, which is what I was talking about earlier. You're not necessarily playing as a single ninja. Your story is not the one of a single ninja, but you're actually playing as your own family ninja line. And this ultimately tells a much deeper and unique story for each player out there. Because your character dies, you make their child or whatever, and now that child actually had a dad that had a whole history. And that can affect your goals or not. Maybe that child's goal is revenge on the murderer of the dad. I don't know. This video is getting so long, and I haven't even gotten into the growing up mechanic, because you start as a kid at the academy, but then you can grow into a teen, an adult, or just an old man, and each one has their advantages and disadvantages. I haven't even talked about what happens when two villages go to war. But yeah, I've spent years thinking about this game. No way I can put all of this into a single video. There's no way. This game is huge, and it's way too expensive to make, and it's never happening because of that. It is just too much. I did think about a monetization model. Since the game is so expensive, it has to work on a subscription model, and maybe even microtransactions on top of that with cosmetics and stuff, because this is really expensive. The problem is a lot of MMOs tried the subscription model and only 2 of them succeeded. Those were World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV. Every other MMO with a subscription model either died or changed their business model. So with Naruto, my idea was make it free to play during the academy. That's a very long tutorial. You get to try out the game for yourself, and as a kid you can actually explore your own village. You can just walk around and talk to people. You can't leave the village though, because you're a kid. Kids cannot leave the village. Once you graduate to Genin, then you need to start paying the subscription to play, which I think can be very easy to justify in a game like this. Think about it. Naruto has thousands of jutsu. There is no way every single one of them can be available at launch. No way, that is impossible. So adding jutsu over time is already a nice way to see this game as an ongoing service. I mean, think about it. Next month, you get the Summoning Jutsu. Summoning Jutsu is already a completely different mechanic from everything that's in the game so far. The other month, you get a new tailed beast appears in the Sand Village. And now either the villages have to come together to kill the monster, which would sort of banish him from the world and he would return later, or seal it into an actual player, creating a Jinchuriki in the universe. The following month, there's a new Kekkei Genkai, the bones, Kimimaru bones are added. Anything, I don't know. Kekkei Genkai are a whole other system that I didn't even get into, because I wrote a lot about that too. The point is, there's a lot that can be added to this game over time. It will keep it fun, it will keep it fresh, and easily justify a game's subscription. But yeah, this game is too expensive. It's really hard to make. Think about it. We've only glazed over character creation. We didn't talk about how much character customization could be in there. We only glazed over ninjutsu. We didn't even talk about how ninjutsu interact with each other. We haven't talked about chakra natures. We haven't talked, oh, so much. This game is hard, so you know me. I love this idea, but I'm not optimistic. I don't think this will ever happen. But I've lived with this poison of an idea in my mind for all this time. Never have I felt so strongly about a game to the point that I just feel like it has to exist at some point. This is too good to never get made. And now you get to live with this poison inside your brain as well. You get to live with the best Naruto game that will never get made inside your mind. And I'm sure that with all of these ideas, you guys have had some of your own as well, so feel free to share them in the comments down below. How would you complete this game? Let me know your thoughts. And don't forget, you can't choose a starter village without your village headband. 10% off with promo code Globku. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I am so sorry you now have to live with this game inside your brain. And now we'll see you next time. Bye.